Welcome to Beyond the Riverwalk, the local weekly podcast that brings San Antonio's most remarkable people, places, and events directly to you. All links discussed will be in the show notes, so sit back, relax, and join Kevin and Melissa Barron as they ask the questions that you would. Now, let's get the conversation started.
This week on Beyond the Riverwalk, we're talking to Jenny Ohnheiser, who's an equestrian trainer with Fine Print Farms. My wife, Melissa, will be hosting the show, so let's get that rolling.
Well, hey, Jenny, how have you been doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. I'm loving my new job and just enjoying every minute being out there in Bulverde now.
Oh, wow. So it's called Fine Print Farms. So tell us a little bit more about your new job.
So Fine Print Farms is out in Bulverde, just a few minutes off of 281. My boss is a lawyer, and she specializes in drafting legal documents. So she spends, pretty much all of her day reading the fine print. So she took her job and kind of transferred it over to the farm, and they went with Fine Print Farms. Let's see, she bought it, I believe, last May. So they've had it for a year now. It used to be the San Antonio Polo Club, but hadn't been used in many years. So it was just 100 acres with kind of an old barn and a small arena. So they went in and they bought it and totally revamped it. I mean, you wouldn't even recognize it if you saw the pictures from a year ago until today. So for 100 acres, we have a 3-acre lake, and on the 3-acre lake is this really, really awesome, I call it a pier, but it's not really a pier. I guess it's more of a deck that's over the lake,
Yeah.
It's got areas where you can fish. It has seating. It has a working bar. It has restrooms. Just awesome. And that's right there in the middle of the property. So we've got that. We have trails that are connected to the farm. Some of the trails, excuse me, some of the trails we own. Some of them, I believe, belong to the city. I'm not sure, but we can go out there and trail ride, and it's just absolutely beautiful in the middle of the Texas hill country.
Oh.
We've got, right now, we have a beginner arena, which is where we do most of our lessons, and that one is enclosed, and then it's got a balcony overlooking it, and the balcony's covered, so it's really neat because the parents can sit there in this big, very comfortable covered area, and they can watch their kids ride without having to be out in the sun,
Oh yeah, that's amazing. I've looked at pictures of it and go, God, she's got an awesome office space.
It's unreal. I go out there every day, and I can't even believe I work there sometimes because it's just so beautiful. I mean, I feel like I am going on vacation every time I'm out there working. It's just so nice.
Especially your pictures when you're on top of a horse between the horse's ears. I mean, those are great.
Yeah. I mean, the view is incredible. It's amazing that I even get to go out there and get on a horse and ride and actually be getting paid to do it is the craziest part.
So you basically, you're doing what you love.
Absolutely. This is literally my dream job. Never thought I'd have a chance to work in a facility like this. With some of the opportunities that I've been given out here, I couldn't have picked a better job. It's amazing.
Oh, that sounds really terrific. Now, I want to find out a little bit more about you.
Okay.
So when did your love of horses begin? Is this something you were raised around or what?
So I was born into a family. My grandmother owns an equestrian center in San Antonio. And so I pretty much was born and just grew up at the barn. I actually don't have, any memories that do not involve being at the barn. So my mom said that when I was about 6 months old and could sit up by myself, she would put a big Western saddle on the horse and then put me in the saddle with her. And she would ride around with me 2-3 times a week. So as soon as I could sit up, I was sitting on a horse.
Oh, that's amazing. Most of us are just trying to sit up in general. And Jenny was sitting on a horse.
I've got pictures. I don't remember much of that. But when I was about 2.5, I started riding independently. I had I think he was an English Cobb pony. His name was Pinocchio. And so I started riding him. He was adorable. So I started riding him by myself, just, walking, trotting on a lunge line. And then I remember by the time I was about 4 years old was when I started to, do more stuff. And by then I was doing walk trot, and I would canter on the lunge line. And I actually went to my first show when I was 4. So, I mean, I say competition, it was just a walk trot class, but went out and got my first ribbon, at 4 years old. So Pinocchio got me started competing. And then when I was, I think 5 or 6 was when I started jumping.
Oh, wow.
I was little, and he was the coolest pony, but like a pony, their attitudes are not the greatest. So he'd be really, really nice one minute, and then the next minute he would decide that he didn't want me on his back anymore, and I would not be on his back anymore.
Gosh.
And he was really good at it. Like, in the second he decided he wanted me off, I was going to be off in 30 seconds. He'd kind of like drop his shoulder and spin and almost like frisbee me off.
Oh, my word.
It wasn't a very far fall.
But still.
I had to learn to be okay with falling off very, very early on.
Have you had any breaks?
Let's see. I've broken my tailbone, like I think most equestrians have. I have broken, I think, a finger, either a break or a fracture. My biggest injury, and this could have been prevented if I had been wearing a vest like what I jump in now. I had a horse stop at a jump, and somehow I ended up flying into like the standard, and I hit back first. And so I was obviously sore the next day.
Right.
And I thought I had a muscle spasm because it would hurt when I was breathing.
Right.
And so I kept getting worse. My mom finally took me into the ER, and I had like 2 pulmonary contusions on my lung, and one of that left lung was like starting to collapse. So that was my more serious injury. It was preventable too. If I had just been wearing a vest, I would have been fine, but I did not wear a vest that day. So that was my more serious injury. And then I have injured my back. Nothing broke, but I did a lot of damage to the sacroiliac joint. So
yeah,
I have like some joint malfunction issues, but I don't want to say this out loud because I feel like it's going to jinx me, but I think I have pretty strong bones because I don't break them, and I've fallen off a lot of times.
Well, you probably have good DNA.
Something has to be, because honestly, like, I should have at least broken an arm or something by now.
Oh gosh. Well, we're glad that you have it.
You need to keep it that way.
That's right. That's right. So you've been riding since you were 2. You've been competing since you were 4. Jumping since you were 6.
Yep.
So when did you start teaching? Was that something you started doing as a teenager, or what?
So I just always grew up around teaching. I would watch my aunt teach and watch the other instructors teach from the time I was a little bitty. And so I think when I was 13 or 14, I was allowed to help out with our summer camp. And when you go and you help out with summer camp, you get your own student under the supervision of an adult and a trained instructor,
Mm-hmm.
So I started working summer camp and doing some teaching there. And then I want to say when I was around 15, I started teaching some lessons on my own during the summer to pay for tack I wanted, or to pay for horse shows I wanted to go to. So I started really teaching, by myself at like 15. I preferred at that time, I liked teaching, but I didn't want to do it like full time or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
I waited tables and stuff for a couple years, and then just did one day a week teaching and the rest of the days riding. So after we moved away for 9 years due to my husband being in the military, we came back, and I really missed it. So I kind of dove straight back in and started teaching full time, like pretty much as soon as I got here. So 2 years of it being my full time, only job.
Your full-time passion.
Yeah, full-time job. I've always taught, but it was part-time work until the past 2 years ago.
Well, that's really good. That's good to know. Let me ask. Okay, now let's talk about horses.
Okay.
Is there a particular breed that you prefer to ride, or are you just a horse is a horse?
So I love thoroughbreds. They obviously have a lot of go. They're very athletic. And most importantly, they're very willing. Like most of them want to please you.
Oh.
So they're typically not beginner horses. Then you need a little more experience to handle a thoroughbred, but they're just super, super willing and always want to please their rider. And really versatile. They can dressage, they can jump, they can event. People use them for Western. just all around, I think they are amazing horses. So I love the thoroughbreds, and I like warm bloods as well, especially if they're crossed with the thoroughbred, because then you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the better brain from the warm bloods, where they're not wanting to run all the time and be crazy, but you get the athleticism and willingness to work from the thoroughbred. So I kind of go back and forth between the two breeds. Out of the warm bloods, I really like Tricaners. They tend to be a little more flightier for warm bloods. So instead of getting like the deadhead, lazy warm blood, you get the bonuses of the warm bloods, which are the good brain, the athleticism, but they're a little spunkier, you know.
Okay. So what was Tuffy?
You know, I don't know what Tuffy was. He's Appaloosa colored, but he kind of, I don't know, like probably a mutt, I'm guessing. We found him for like, I think my grandma said she found him for $400 on the south side, and 2 kids were riding him bareback that had no business riding horses, and he tolerated it. So she was like, okay, that's what we need.
That's right. Yeah, I remember Tuff. He liked to stop a lot.
He did. That was pretty much his favorite thing to do, is nothing, really. That's okay, though. Kid's horses, that's good for a kid's horse.
It is. It is. Well, he is. Excuse me. So I know there's multiple different breeds of horses. Now, I've never heard the term a warm blood.
Okay.
So what makes that distinguishable from a thoroughbred? You know, what are the different, talking to somebody who knows nothing about horses.
So horses are kind of broken up into 3 categories. You have cold-blooded horses, warm-blooded horses, and hot-blooded horses. And their temperament kind of goes with that. So a cold-blooded horse is like a draft horse, right? Like the horses that pull the carriages and stuff.
Okay.
They're big, they're heavy, they're work horses, but they are, you know, they're dead lazy, calm. You can typically throw anybody on them and they will take care of them.
Okay.
On the other end, you've got the hot-blooded horses, which have a lot of energy, are not beginner friendly, and have a lot of go to them. So that's like your thoroughbreds and your Arabians.
Okay.
So you go into the middle and you have the warm blood, and it's kind of halfway in between the two.
Okay.
They have better minds. They're still athletic like a thoroughbred, whereas, you know, the draft horses are not going to be what you want to use for jumping. So they're kind of like a middle ground, and they actually will get the cold-blooded horses and the hot-blooded horses and mix them to kind of get that perfect horse.
That perfect horse, which is so like a warm-blooded. So is there a certain term for that, or?
So there's a lot of different breeds that are under the warm-blooded horses. You know, like a Tricaner is a warm blood. A Hanoverian, which is one of my favorite breeds, is a warm blood. The Dutch harness horses are warm blood. So each category has, you know, tons of breeds underneath it. But like when you go and you watch the Olympics and you watch the dressage portion of it,
yes,
pretty much all of those are going to be warm bloods.
Okay.
You go and you watch the jumpers, and there'll be some thoroughbreds in there, but the vast majority are typically warm bloods.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't realize there were 3 categories like that. I mean, I knew there were different breeds, but I didn't realize they had 3 different specific categories. That's really cool to know.
And sometimes they'll get the warm bloods and they'll mix them with a thoroughbred or something. And the reason they do that is to keep the breed light, because if they continue to breed warm blood to warm blood to warm blood for too long, they start to get heavy like a draft horse.
Okay.
And so they'll occasionally throw a thoroughbred or a half thoroughbred in there with the breeding, and it lightens the breed so that they can stay light and athletic, but still have the warm blood temperament and athleticism.
So a Clydesdale draft horse, cold blood?
Yes. Cold-blooded draft horse.
Because they're huge.
They are massive.
Well, some of these other questions I have, we've kind of answered already. Which ones are easy to train? Which ones are more difficult?
And I would say probably the most difficult, and I say this, it's odd. So my horse is half Hanoverian, half Arabian. She looks and acts like a Hanoverian. My least favorite breed to train is definitely the Arabians. They are very intelligent, which can be unfortunate when you're trying to train a horse, because they come up with very creative ways to get out of doing what you want them to do. And they're bred for endurance racing. So if you have an Arabian, you get them out and they're hot, good luck wearing them out, because they are bred to go run across the desert for 2 days
Exactly.
straight.
There's a reason why they're called Arabians.
So it's like Yeah, you cannot wear out an Arabian. So that is by far my least favorite horse to work with.
So when you're training a horse, is it better to start when they're ponies?
So pony actually doesn't have anything to do with their age. It's their size.
Okay.
So
thank you for that.
Know this. It's either 14-1 or 14-2 hands. Anything below is a pony, and anything above is a horse.
Okay.
But when you're training a horse, we don't start them until they're at least 2 years old.
Okay.
You never start a horse before they're 2. But the sooner or the younger you start them, the better they will be. I had a trainer once explain it to me like this. If you got a puppy and you got a 7-year-old dog and you wanted to train them both to do the exact same thing, the puppy is typically the one that will be better trained at the end because you started them young.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that with horses. I mean, you can get an older horse and train them and make a really, really nice horse out of them. But the perfect scenario would be to get them young, like, anywhere from 3 to 5 years old.
Cool. Now, is this you've using a lot of horse terms, equestrian terms?
Yes.
Do y'all have anything? And I'm not going to go into it here, but do you have anything there at Fine Print Farms that like classes where you can learn basic horse? I don't want to say skills, but you know what I'm trying to say.
We do. So we have a full lesson program, and we teach lessons Tuesday through Sunday. So anybody can come out and take the lesson as long as they're at least 5 years old. We give private riding lessons. So from someone that has never been on a horse, they can show up, they can take a lesson, they can start coming weekly or twice a week or biweekly, however often they want, and they can learn to ride. We also offer horsemanship classes. Those are more of a hands-on equine education class. They learn to handle the horse. They learn basic safety practices. They learn grooming, bathing, tacking, all of those basics that you do on the ground that do not involve you riding a horse. So we teach those. We also have a path to horse ownership program. So if we have somebody that wants to buy a horse, but they don't know enough to buy a horse yet, we have this whole program set up where they come in and they learn the horsemanship. They learn how to ride. They get lots and lots of lessons and get to where we can get them their own horse and they can be turned loose and they will totally be okay. And we also walk them through the buying process, which is a big deal because you can't just go out and buy a horse if you don't know what you're doing,
Right.
So we have the horse ownership. Now, during our lessons, we have criteria you have to meet to be able to do this, but we offer group lessons as well. And with me, like especially the teenagers seem to prefer the group lessons. They will work really, really hard to get their skill level up so that they can do the group lessons. So we do the group lessons, and those are an hour long. And then for people who are regular students that already know how to like walk and steer and stop the horse, we do trail rides. We don't let just anybody come out and jump on our horses and ride them, though. You do have to be like a regular student.
Okay. So like say if somebody wanted to do a family riding and only one of them has had lessons, the other two couldn't do it.
Yeah, they would need to come out and at least take a lesson just to learn how to make the horse stop, go, and turn.
Okay.
Because when we're out there on the trails, even though it's our own private property and it's very, very safe the way everything is set up out there, we still want you to be able to steer the horse and, just have the basics down.
Well, yeah, that definitely makes sense. You don't want somebody going willy-nilly and then the horse doesn't understand what they're doing.
Yeah, they've never been on a horse and they get up there and think that, like, shaking the reins will make them go. You know what I mean? And the horses are like, I don't know what you want.
Well, it's not like you see it on television.
Oh, not at all. It
or
really
in the movies.
So different. Absolutely.
Now, you said you were put on a Western saddle when you were 2. So are there different types of saddles? You just can't buy a saddle and one saddle fits all.
No, so the Western saddles are like the ones you see in the movies typically. They're big and bulky and they have like a lot of decorations and stuff on them, and they have the big horn in the front that you can hold on to. So those are the Western saddles. What we do is English riding. We're actually an eventing barn.
Okay.
We specialize in the 3-day events where you go and you do the dressage portion, you do the cross-country jumping, and you do the stadiums. So we use English saddles. The English saddles are much smaller. They do not have a horn. You don't hold on to the saddle with your hands at all. The only thing you hold on with are your legs. So different saddles. You definitely are not going to fit 2 people in an English saddle either. They're really a lot smaller.
Yeah, I remember when
I think it's comfortable.
our little one here was doing lessons. They looked awfully small.
They are. I mean, people come out and I think sometimes they'll schedule a lesson and assume it's Texas. They're going to be riding Western, and they get there and see the little saddle and are like, "What? How am I going to fit?" But it really is. They're way more comfortable. They're very soft. The seats are nice. There's a lot of leg support. So I prefer them. I actually cannot stand riding in a Western saddle. I don't get it.
Well, you're a small person too.
I am. I'm not very big.
Okay, one other thing. Do y'all offer any camps, like summertime's coming? Are there summer camps for now that the kids are out of school? Stuff like that, or yeah.
We do actually. We have a camp coming up. It's going to be held June 12th through 16th from 8:15 to 12:30 each day. It's open to all skill levels. So as long as they are at least, we say 6 years old for camp because we want them to be a little more mature because they are away from their parents for the half day. So as long as they're 6 years old, they can come and do camp. So they come each day, they meet, they ride for 75 minutes, and the riding portion is done one-on-one with them and an instructor. Okay. So even though there will be multiple kids in the arena, the student to instructor ratio is still 1-to-1. So they ride for 75 minutes, and then they get off, and they do 75 minutes of horsemanship to learn those basic ground skills that we talked about, how to safely walk behind a horse, how to lead a horse, how to put on a halter, how to groom a horse, how to bathe a horse. They learn some basic anatomy, so they learn, all the parts of the body and their names. And then they learn even a little bit. We go into diet and veterinary care as well. So it's very educational, but very hands-on. In addition to that, each day, Monday through Thursday, we take them swimming. We do have a private pool at our equestrian center, so they get to go swimming in our pool. And then on Fridays, we skip swimming and we actually take them out to the lake and we go fishing.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Super, super cool. And our lake is stocked. So, pretty much you throw a line and you're going to catch something. I think there's bass, catfish, trout, and something else. I'm not like a fishing expert or anything.
No, you're the horse expert.
I don't know much about fish, but I know there's a couple different kinds in there. So what's really neat about it too is that we pretty much provide all the equipment. The only thing parents are responsible for are making sure their child wears pants so they can ride. Right. Closed-toed shoes. We prefer boots, but you don't need them. Tennis shoes are acceptable as well. Even for the fishing portion, we provide the fishing pole. So that's it. You show up with what you need to wear. We have the helmets, we have the horses, the tack, and all the equipment. So that's it. Which I think makes it a lot easier because you're not having to spend a couple $100s on equipment out of pocket for a camp that you're going to do for a week, Right. That makes it really convenient.
To give the person a taste of it, and if they want to pursue lessons after that, then parents should start putting money aside to invest in the equipment.
Absolutely. And even for lessons, we provide the equipment as well. And so they're not having to go out and buy everything all at once, which is nice because they can kind of budget it and space it out. Right. Like get the boots and then work towards the helmet and then go towards the riding pants, things like that. So that part of it's really, really nice. We're really looking forward to camp. It's going to be so much fun. I've run camps for a lot of years. I don't even know how many because that was one of my responsibilities before, Isaac joined the military was the camp portion. Right. So it's something I love to do. It's a lot of fun. I've got a lot of experience with it, and I'm just super, super excited to bring my knowledge to fine print because the facility is just amazing. There is not a camp in this part of Texas that is going to be like ours.
Oh, okay. Here's the big budget question. How much is this camp?
Camp is $400. Okay. Which, the norm in this area is anywhere from like $375 to $450. Okay. So we're actually on the lower end for horse camp. Right. Especially when you consider our facilities and, some of the activities we're going to do. So we're $400. There is a $100 security deposit due up front. but that goes towards your $400. So when you register,
Right.
you pay your $100, and then on day one, you pay $300.
Okay. All right. That makes it a little easier. And maybe people who are listening to this now can start putting their money on the side for their kids.
Good. Filling up quickly.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, we are. We're filling up quickly. As soon as we're full, I'm probably going to go ahead and open up a second and possibly a third week of camp. So our goal is actually to do 3 camps this summer.
Oh, that is, and all in June or broken up June, July, August?
We are really big on making sure that our horses are not overworked. You know,
Right.
They're never even allowed to work more than two lessons a day.
Okay.
And so we don't want them doing camps back to back. So we're going to space it out to make it easier on them. But that's our goal. We would like to do 3. And I mean, pretty much I've always said it's a little bit of a drive to get out here, even though we are conveniently located off of 281. It is still Bulverde, but like what I always tell my boss is we just have to get them out here once. They'll make the drive one time. They will see it and say, oh my gosh, this place is amazing. And if you just get them out there once, they are always repeat customers and they always want to come back because it is just so nice. And I mean, not even just the facility I'm talking about, the people there are so, so nice. I've never been to a facility with people like this.
Oh, that's amazing. And that's just simply amazing.
They do a lot of good too. I mean, when I was deciding to switch barns, I had a couple of job offers, and one of the things that made me choose Fine Print, despite it's a 45-minute drive from my house, I live in Schertz.
Mm-hmm.
So what made me decide that this was the place and that the drive was worth it was really the people. They were so nice, and my bosses are always looking for ways to give back. I mean, they use their facility for fishing tournaments for disabled children, where they just let them come out and use the facility. They have a program called Reckless Rangers that meets every Saturday, and it's for veterans with PTSD. So they get to come out here and go to equitherapy once a week, and it never costs them anything. I felt like if they're willing to do that kind of stuff, it obviously spoke really highly of the kind of people they were. And those were the kind of people that I wanted to be around.
Right. That's hard to find these days, and it's a shame to say that, but that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. We're all very happy for you that you're in a place that's so beautiful.
It is. It's very
and with
beautiful.
People who appreciate what you do and you love it.
I do. I mean, it's phenomenal. I could have not picked a better facility to go work at.
Oh, that's just so cool. Emma had a question. How many horses do y'all have?
I'm not sure because we have our own lesson horses, and I believe we're up to, I think we have like 12 lesson horses right now.
Okay.
And then we have horses that are boarded privately. Last time I checked, I thought we're around 30 horses. I'm not 100% sure. I know we're somewhere close to the 30 mark though.
Oh, that's neat.
About half of them belonging to us.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Anything else? I know you post pictures of what was it? A prairie dog?
Oh my gosh. We have all sorts of critters out there. We just keep collecting them pretty much every week. So it started, we just had the horses, and then they rescued 3 donkeys out of the kill pen. So then we added donkeys, and then they rescued a miniature pony out of the kill pen. So we have a miniature pony. And then Amanda went to Tractor Supply. So this first story I heard was that she saved a duck. It had been run over. So I'm like, oh, she saved a duck. And then I go back to where they're keeping them, and there's 2 ducks in there. There's not 1 duck. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And I asked her, I'm like, so where'd you save it from? And she said Tractor Supply. So I think she just got them because they were cute, which they are really cute. So we started with 2 ducks, and then a boarder bought 4 more ducks. So our 2 ducks turned into 6 ducks. So we've got the 6 ducks, and then we have a high school kid. He's in 4-H, and he keeps his pig out there. So we have this massive pig. He's like, I think he said he's 300 pounds, and he's still growing.
Oh gosh,
humongous pig, super cool though. So we've got the pig out there now. And then when Amanda was in, I think it was Lubbock a couple weeks ago, she got a prairie dog. So we have 1 prairie dog, and we are going to be getting probably 1 or 2 more because they live in little families, so we don't have to be alone.
Right.
So we've got the prairie dog. We're talking about getting goats. And what else am I missing? Oh, and then Amanda found a bunny. It was a domesticated bunny or something, but had gotten loose and had been living as a wild bunny for a couple months.
Right.
So she somehow managed to catch it and like get it in her truck. And she took it to the farm. And so we had a bunny for a couple of weeks. Ended up not being a boy. It was a girl, and it was pregnant. So
now we have more bunnies.
it turned into 4 bunnies. But we found the bunnies really good homes. So the bunnies are not at the farm. But we always have animals there. There's dogs and cats. And I imagine we're probably going to collect some more critters along the way.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
It literally is a farm. It's super fun, though. I love it.
Well, that's great. Oh, we are so happy for you, and we're happy to get to talk to you and tell us about Fine Print Farms. Now, where is Fine Print Farms located? I'm getting tongue tied.
So we are at 285 Obst Road in Bulverde. You can get to us either by coming 281, or you can come down Blanco. Or I can't remember the road. I want to say it's 46. Whatever that road is that runs through Bulverde that also hits 3009. There's a road out there you can come. But the easiest way is Blanco. Usually there's less traffic and there's fewer stoplights. So if you come 1604 to Blanco, that's the easiest way to get there. And we are right next door to Tejas Rodeo.
Now, what is that?
It's next door and I've never been. It's some big like rodeo place. I guess they have rodeos every weekend, and I know there's a steakhouse connected to it and like a bar. So from my understanding, it's just a rodeo place. It looks really fun. I haven't been over there yet.
Well, no, because Saturdays you're there, like you said, sun up to sundown. So
all day I'm tired. Saturdays I come home and pretty much just collapse by the end of the day because we do so many lessons out there. I think. Last Saturday, I think I taught 13 students. So
wow.
We're just growing really, really fast. It's amazing.
Well, this is just great. This is phenomenal. So, like we said, we're beyond the Riverwalk. So people, there's other things to do. Go horse riding at Fine Print Farms.
Absolutely.
Give them a call. Look at the facility.
You want to experience Texas and the Hill Country? This is the place to go ride. We are a premier eventing facility, but we're also on 100 acres. So if you're not wanting to be some serious eventer, you just want to come enjoy Texas,
right?
Enjoy nature, and go ride a horse. This is the place. You start walk because our property is really, really long. It goes really far back. So you leave the actual barn section, and you're just in this huge open area. And to your left, there's a vineyard. To your right, there's Tejas, and they've got somebody that has a house right next to us has a bunch of longhorns. So you'll go out there walking and there'll be like 15 longhorns up against the fence on one side, a vineyard on the other side, and a 3-acre lake in front of you.
I mean, this is a day trip. This is like, get up, go riding, then enjoy the steakhouse, and then go to the vineyard.
I can't believe it's even that close to San Antonio. It's crazy. Like you really do. You get out there and you feel like you're on vacation. It's awesome.
Well, we're going to have to plan a weekend out there.
You do. You'll need to for sure. Emma would love it.
Yeah.
And we have some great, great, great lesson horses. Really, really nice ones. We have he's an American Chicaner. I believe he's 13 and he's trained through like 3rd level dressage and has gone up to training level in eventing. And that's one of our lesson horses. I mean, we have some really, really nice ones.
Oh, that's just amazing. I'm really having what they say in Louisiana, the envie, which is the want to go out there.
Yeah, you need to come out for sure. Everybody that comes out says, I never want to leave here. We have boarders who buy like pop-up campers and RVs and hook them up and stay there on the weekends.
Really?
Yes. We're kind of becoming a compound.
So, because we have family who have an RV, so if they come into Texas, so it would be like a dry camping. There's no hookups or anything like that. They just come around the area, just what they call boondocking, and then they come to the farm.
So we don't really offer like people coming in camping out. The people that do it's because they own horses there.
They own horses. So these are the owners.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. I gotcha. People out there, if you like this podcast, go out and like it, share it, and subscribe to it. And thank you, Jenny, for speaking with us about your background in Fine Print Farms.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Riverwalk. Send your comments, questions, and suggestions to podcast@beyondriverwalk.com. As always, subscriptions to our show are free and available wherever you find podcasts, as well as on our website. Until next week, join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more conversations about our community.